Welcome back, SethBling here. Today we continue my quest to create a 360 card custom Mario themed Magic the Gathering draft cube. If you missed the first video in the series, it explains what's going on with this set, what my design principles are, what all the different strategies are that I'm hoping to incorporate in the set. So go check out that. There's a link in the video description for that video. In this video, I'm going to talk about a lot of new cards for the Mario/Heroes part of the set. You know, things like Mario and power-ups, basically, or heroes and power-ups, playable characters. We're going to start off with Gino Star Warrior. So Gino is a very powerful ally from Super Mario RPG. He's like sent by celestial beings to come aid you in your quest, basically. And we're going to talk a little bit about red. Basically, I felt like there was not enough pushing players to build a 3-color super deck. And I thought that would be like a fun archetype to push. And so I made this really strong red-white card. So basically, if you draft this card, you're probably going to want to be red, green, white. All right, so let's take a look at the card. He's a 4/4 for 4, so already pretty efficient. He's got haste and vigilance. Whoops. He's got haste and vigilance. And he's got super, which is kind of a requirement of being part of the super strategy in the set. Super means if this creature would leave the battlefield while enchanted, instead exile it and return it to the battlefield under its owner's control. So this promotes enchanting your creatures, and like prevents you from getting blown out by losing a bunch of like card disadvantage if your opponent casts a removal spell on a creature that is enchanted. Instead of losing the creature and the enchantment, you just lose the enchantment. Whenever Gino attacks, if he's enchanted, exile the top 2 cards of your library. Until end of turn, you may play those cards. So if they're lands, you can play them. If they're spells, you can cast them. So he has to be enchanted for you to get this. So this, again, really pushes that theme of wanting to cast auras, which are power-ups, on your creatures. He's got haste, which means he can attack immediately once you cast him, but he's probably not going to be enchanted on the turn you cast him. And that's intentional. That's by design. Since you're spending all that mana to cast him, it's very unlikely you'll have any mana left, or you probably won't have a land drop either to actually play any cards that you would get by exiling the top 2 cards of your library. And so I added this very intentionally to both encourage you to play auras and also to make sure that you have a chance to like have some mana open after you attack with him, and maybe have your land drop available for the turn, so you can get that value the first time you actually do get to exile those 2 cards. But yeah, this is just like a really strong card in red and white, pushes you into the 3-color combo, and it's just a really good payoff for being in that combo too, if you do like encounter this in your 2nd or 3rd pack of the draft. And then similarly, I changed Letter from the Princess. This was costing like 3 and a white or something. Once again, this is one of my favorite cards in the set. Mountains are red, islands are blue. Creatures with super get +2/+2. So again, creatures with super are you know, playable characters in this set, so or like heroes. So it makes sense that a Letter from the Princess would buff them. Cards like Mario and Luigi and, well, Gino. So I changed this from just being a white card, which I thought made sense like flavor-wise for being from the Princess. I changed it to being all 3 colors. Again, to push you, if you really wanted to maximize super in your deck, you really want to be 3 colors. You want to be these 3 colors, red, green, and white. So that's another change I made. Here's another card that promotes being red in your, maybe if you're green, white, and you don't have enough creatures with super, this is a pretty efficient one. It's like a weaker version of Gino, right? It's got haste, it's got super, and that's it. It's in different colors, but yeah, this is also good for a green, just a green-red deck, especially if like green-red decks were kind of missing super creatures that you'd actually want to enchant, and so this is a nice one. And it's like a efficient, hasty creature that's very aggressive for your green-red decks, which are supposed to be aggressive. Here's Super Crown. In this set, Princess Peach is a life-linking creature with super. Super Crowns, you may have seen the Bowsette memes and all those. I'd encourage you not to look up those memes. But anyway, Super Crown is an item that Toadette can pick up, and it basically turns her into Princess Peach. And so this card will turn any creature kind of into sort of Princess Peach with lifelink and super. So gains the ability that Peach has. And it only costs 1 mana. I'm thinking this card sort of like Totem Armor from Rise of the Eldrazi. So it protects your creature with by giving it super, because the creature will be enchanted when it dies, like since you have Super Crown on it. And so it'll come back. And so it protects your creature and gives it lifelink. This is a nice way to give creatures in your set, or like in your deck, that like don't have super, give them some protection, but also take advantage of aura interactions that might appear in the set, or in your deck. You'll notice that this is an enchant non-token creature, specifically so that you don't try and enchant a token and then like super says if it would leave the battlefield while enchanted, instead exile and return to the battlefield. Like a token that gets exiled ceases to exist immediately. And so, yeah, you would just lose the creature. So this prevents you from accidentally getting blown out by that. Here's Firebrand. I noticed that there was kind of a lack of red auras in the set. And so here's a couple, this card and the next card are going to be some red auras that like give you some nice value on like when they enter the battlefield, and like act to clear the way for aggressive red cards. So these cards are supposed to help super out in the aggressive red-green strategies. When Firebrand enters the battlefield, it deals 2 damage to any target. So that's shock, and then enchanted creature gets +2/+0. So this card is sort of like 4 damage the turn that you play it, which is fairly efficient for 3 mana. If you like clear out your opponent's only blocker and then deal an extra 2 damage. You don't really need to play this on a creature with super to get the value out of it, because like if that creature ends up dying on the next turn, you still got 4 damage for 3 mana, which is not horrible. But if you do play it on a creature with super, it's really nice, and it can like turn on a lot of like really positive interactions. So, and similarly, Thunderhand, it's an aura with flash, enchant creature. When Thunderhand enters the battlefield, it deals 3 damage to target blocking creature. Enchanted creature has trample. So if you attack with a creature or attack with a bunch of creatures, and your opponent blocks one of them, then you can flash in Thunderhand, destroy that creature, and give the blocked creature trample, and so it'll still deal full damage. So it's a way of removing a blocker and still being able to deal the damage. But it doesn't have, like, this really only fits into an aggressive strategy. You can only cast this if your opponent is actually blocking your creatures. So that nerfs its power level quite a bit. It's like a relatively narrow card. And yeah, I mean, pretty straightforward. But yeah, these are really good for enabling red-green super to actually shine pretty well. Turn Up is another card that's designed for super. It can fit in pretty much any super deck, though. Enchanted creature gets +1/+1 for a single green mana. For 2 and a green, return Turnip from your graveyard to your hand. This is a it's a modified version of Talons of Wildwood, which is the exact same card, except it costs 2 mana and it gives your creature trample. This is really nice in a super deck because you can play Turnip on your creature with super, and then if it dies or whatever, or yeah, if the creature like would die, Turnip will save the creature, but Turnip will go to the graveyard, and then you can return it to your hand and replay it. So it's sort of a recursive way of protecting your creature with super, and also buffing them just a little bit. So it plays very nicely with super. Mega Mushroom is just a big aura. I wanted some ramp payoffs for this set. Green has a few different ways of getting ahead of the curve and playing spells early. So this is a way of dealing a lot of damage in the late game, or if you really need to block a creature with flying, you can also do that. I love this art. This art is actually like the full version of this art. Actually, Mario is not cropped, but I thought that like cropping it out of the art a little bit made him look like he's just like so big he can't even fit into the art, which is great. So he just looks so huge. But Mega Mushroom is an item from, I think, originally from Paper Mario. It turns you into this giant thing. And then Hammersuit is an old card. I've modified this a few times now. This is a version of Extra Arms from Onslaught. Whenever enchanted creature attacks, it deals 2 damage to any target. So pretty powerful ability. It matches the hammers in that you're like throwing the hammers ahead of you while you're attacking. It can hit creatures with flying. You can throw them upwards. But pretty nice card, and it's like also really good in an aggressive strategy. So there's like a theme with these. I'm trying to make the red-green aggressive strategies able to use auras a little bit more and get benefits from having those super creatures. Epic Confrontation. This is a reprint from Dragons of Katarkir. I was looking for a way to add some removal to green, which didn't really have much. Target creature you control gets +1/+2 until end of turn. It fights target creature you don't control. I had this really epic art that I've been waiting for the right card to use, and I thought it made a lot of sense here. And I think a reprint is nice. Reprints are really good for a set like this because it helps veteran players like understand the cards a lot faster. Like, oh, I've seen Epic Confrontation before. I've played with it before. I know like what it does and how to value it. And so it's important to have cards like this that you can evaluate quickly like that. And it's just like such epic art. I love this art. And it fits what the card is doing really well too. Heroic Winds is a powerful card. Each player chooses a creature they control, destroy the rest. This plays really well in a couple of different decks. It plays really well in a super-oriented deck where you've like got a creature and it's got an aura or two, and you really want to keep that creature around. And it's like more powerful than your opponent's best creature because you've used auras on it. And if you do have other enchanted creatures, they can survive through this. Though they will have summoning sickness, so you can't really take advantage of the fact that your opponent's creatures are also dying. It's also good in Architect, where you get to destroy a bunch of creatures, but still keep a creature for yourself to enable Architect. It's really good against minions, because it's just like a lot of creature tokens. It's good against Spook. Get to destroy a lot of things, potentially. Not very good against vehicles, though. Crack the Eggs. So I've been looking for ways to add more like card filtering into the set. A lot of the strategies in this set require like multiple components to come together. Super requires a creature with super and an aura, right? Vehicles requires a creature and a vehicle, that sort of thing. So in general, I'm trying to include a lot of cards that let you filter through your deck and find the right cards to combo with the cards you already have. So Crack the Eggs is a version of Tormenting Voice, which allows you to also sacrifice a creature. So 1 and a red, as an additional cost to cast a spell, discard a card, or sacrifice a creature. You get to choose one of those. And then the ability is draw 2 cards. So if you discard a card, you're like casting the spell and discarding a card and then drawing 2 cards. So there's no card advantage here. It's card neutral. Similarly, sacrificing a creature is kind of like card neutral. This plays really well with Spawn, where on turn 1 you could spawn and make a 1/1 token. And the next card, if you don't know what Spawn is, the next card has Spawn, so I'll get to what that is. But it makes a 1/1 token, so you can sacrifice this on turn 2 and draw 2 cards, and it's really not card disadvantage if you play it that way. So this fits really well into the red-black theme of sacrificing creatures. And it's just an overall pretty strong card that lets you filter through and find the right cards you need to make your deck work. Oh, and also, I always thought it was really weird that like Yoshi kind of throws his babies at enemies. I mean, like eggs are like where you keep your babies, right? He hatches eggs and then, or he lays eggs and then throws them. I know that's not exactly how it works, but I always thought that like it was really funny how they use eggs for just everything that has to do with Yoshi. And so the idea of Yoshi just like cracking open his baby's eggs and getting the cards out of them, I don't know. It just pokes fun at what's going on, like the weird things going on with Yoshi and his eggs. All right, so Proto Piranha, if you don't know what Spawn is, it's got that mechanic here. It's a 2/4 for 4. Proto Piranhas are actually not piranha plants. They're just like things that look like piranha plants that are made entirely of goo. They also spray this goo all over the ground. And so I took that theme and interpreted it as like corrupting lands. All right, so it's got Spawn. 1 and exile this card from your hand. Create a 1/1 black minion creature token. And then you may cast this card later from exile. And Spawn only is a sorcery. So this is kind of like an adventure from Throne of Eldraine, except the only thing that Spawn can do is create a 1/1 black minion creature token for 1. And then it's got this land corrupting ability. 2, target land you control becomes a 1/1 black minion creature with haste until end of turn. It's still a land. So this like does a couple of nice things for the set. First of all, Spawn is just like an efficient mechanic. You can see how it works with like Crack the Eggs or other sacrifice themes. And then this also lets you create 1/1s out of your extra lands that you don't need anymore in order to get benefit out of them, like sacrificing them or just even attacking with them. If you need a creature to crew with, this can also work for that. It can work for a lot of different things. And then she's got a 2/4 body, which is not great for 4 mana, but he's got a lot of other things going on. And so finally, let's look at Something Wicked. This is a really powerful card. It's a card advantage card. So 1 black red, it's an enchantment. At the beginning of your upkeep, exile the top card of your library. If it has Spook, you may cast it for its Spook cost as long as it remains exiled. If it has Spawn, you may cast it for as long as it remains exiled. If it has neither, you may play it this turn. So, if it doesn't have Spook or Spawn, you basically get a card during your upkeep that you can play for the duration of the turn. If you don't play it, it just stays exiled forever. But if the card does have Spook or Spawn, you don't have to play it this turn. You can play it whenever, and if it has Spook, you can play it at its reduced Spook cost. Spook costs are usually less than the cost of the card for face value. So you get like a reduced cost there, and then if it has Spawn, there's no rush. A lot of the cards with Spawn cost more mana, and so you can like keep it around later to cast later. But yeah, things like Proto Piranha, have Spawn. So Something Wicked is a nice way to tie together the Spook and Spawn mechanics, which have this similar exile a card and then you can cast it later mechanic. And it's so black and red are the 2 colors that Spook and Spawn sort of share. Spook is blue, black, red, and Spawn is green, black, red. So black and red are the 2 colors they share. So it sort of ties those mechanics together in a nice way. And it's a very powerful card advantage card. All right, that's all the cards I have to show you. We are at, you can see here, 265 cards out of, I need 360. 5 of those are basic lands. So it's really 260 out of 360. There are 100 cards left to design. So we're kind of on the home stretch here. As I approach 360, I need to start worrying more about like balance of colors in the set. Here you can see the different colors. Mono black is like pretty far behind where mono blue and mono red are. White and green are sort of need a little bit of catch up. There are a few hybrid cards, and then like for instance, there's not really many red hybrid cards, and there are a lot of black and white hybrid cards. So those sort of help catch up in terms of monocolored cards, in terms of balance. I think I want to push multicolored a little bit more, but anyway, there's a lot of things like that where I need to start worrying about like what are the holes in the set? Are there enough creatures of each color? That sort of thing. And so going forward, there's going to be a lot more of design to fill those holes. But like I say at the end of every video, I'm doing a lot of this design on twitch.tv/SethBling. So follow me there, or if you want to know when I'm going live, twitter.com/SethBling. I always tweet out. Also, reddit.com/r/Mario the Gathering if you'd like to discuss what's going on with the set, make card suggestions, that sort of stuff. Yeah, 100 cards to go. Thanks for watching.